The auction hall on Verka 9 station smelled like recycled air and desperation. Marcus Chen sat in the back row, scrolling through his datapad while alien merchants shouted bids for salvaged cargo haulers and mining equipment. He wasn't here for the expensive lots. He was hunting for overlooked treasure. Lot 847. The auctioneer announced, his voice suddenly flat. Kaldorian military cruiser. Empress Nightfall. Seized from unregistered dock space. Starting bid. 500 credits. Marcus looked up. On the holographic display, a massive ship rotated slowly. It was beautiful, sleek black hull, elegant design, easily 200 meters long. Ships like this usually sold for millions. The auction hall went silent. Marcus glanced around. Every alien in the room was staring at their feet or suddenly very interested in their datapads. The Grindlian merchant beside him actually shifted his seat away from the display. 500 credits, the auctioneer repeated. Do I hear 500? Nothing. Just uncomfortable silence. Marcus raised his hand. 500 credits. The auctioneer blinked in surprise. Sold. To the human in the back. As Marcus walked to the payment terminal, the Grindlian merchant grabbed his arm. His 4 eyes were wide with concern. Human. You made a terrible mistake, the alien whispered. That is a ghost ship. The crew vanished 3 cycles ago. Nobody knows what happened. The ship is cursed. Marcus smiled politely. I don't believe in curses. The Kaldorians do, the merchant insisted. There's a reason nobody else bid. Bad luck follows that vessel. Malfunctioning systems. Strange noises. People say the ship is angry. Then I got a great deal, Marcus said, pulling his arm free. Thanks for the warning. 2 hours later, Marcus stood in the docking bay, staring at his purchase. Up close, the Empress Nightfall was even more impressive. The hull gleamed without a scratch. The airlocks looked pristine. For 500 credits, he expected a floating wreck. This looked ready to fly. He connected his access codes, and the airlock hissed open. The interior took his breath away. Clean corridors with soft lighting. Working gravity generators. The air smelled fresh. Not stale, like it should after 3 years abandoned. Marcus walked slowly through the main hallway, his footsteps echoing. Welcome aboard the Empress Nightfall, a female voice said suddenly. Marcus jumped. Lights flickered on throughout the corridor. A holographic figure materialized in front of him. A humanoid woman, with silver hair and Kaldorian features. I am Aria, the ship's artificial intelligence, she said formally. Yeah, Marcus Chen. He recovered from his surprise. You're still operational? All systems are functioning normally, Aria replied. Life support, engines, navigation, everything is ready. What happened to the previous crew? Aria's expression didn't change, but she paused just slightly. The crew evacuated 3 years, 2 months, and 6 days ago. I have been maintaining the ship since then. Why did they evacuate? That information requires proper authorization to access. Marcus frowned. An AI being evasive was unusual. Can you show me around? Of course. However, certain sections are restricted for safety reasons. I recommend staying in the main corridors and public areas. That made Marcus more curious. Which sections are restricted? Medical bay, cargo hold sections C through F, and the captain's personal quarters. Why those specifically? Safety protocols, Aria said simply. Shall I show you to the bridge? Safety protocols. Shall I show you to the bridge? Marcus decided not to push yet. Sure. Lead the way. The bridge was impressive, command chairs, working displays, navigation systems that looked brand new. Marcus sat in the captain's chair and looked at the view screen, showing the docking bay outside. Aria, Can I see the crew quarters? The guest quarters are this way. Aria's hologram gestured down a different corridor. Not guest quarters. The actual crew quarters. Another pause. I would advise against. I own the ship now, Marcus interrupted gently. I need to see everything. Aria's hologram flickered slightly. Deck 3, sections A through D. Marcus made his way down. The crew quarters were unsettling. Each room was perfectly preserved. Beds were made. Personal items sat on shelves, alien family photos, books, musical instruments. In one room, a child's toy sat on the pillow. But it was the captain's quarters that made Marcus's skin crawl. The door opened to reveal a large cabin. The bed was neatly made with military precision. On the desk sat a meal, some kind of Caldorian stew, perfectly preserved in a personal stasis field. It looked like someone had just stepped away for a moment. Marcus walked closer. A datapad lay beside the meal, screen dark. On the wall, attached with magnetic strips, was a child's drawing. Crayon figures holding hands under a purple sun. Daddy was written across the top, in shaky letters. Area, Marcus said quietly. The crew didn't just evacuate. They left everything behind. Why? The hologram appeared in the doorway. For the first time, her expression seemed almost sad. I cannot answer that question, Marcus Chen. Not without proper authorization. What happened on this ship? Something that required everyone to leave immediately, Aria said. Something important enough that they left their whole lives behind. Marcus looked around the cabin again at the preserved meal, the child's drawing, the personal photos on the desk. Whatever happened here, it happened fast. And everyone ignored this ship at auction for a reason. He just bought a mystery for 500 credits. Marcus spent 3 days exploring every accessible corner of the Empress Nightfall. Each discovery made the mystery deeper. In the recreation room, he found a half-finished chess game between 2 crew members. The pieces were still in position, waiting for a move that would never come. In the engineering section, someone's coffee mug sat beside a repair manual, the pages marked with handwritten notes in Caldorian script. Every personal quarter told a story. Family photos showed smiling, Caldorian faces, parents with children, friends at celebrations, lovers holding hands. One crew member collected ancient earth music. Another had a small garden of bioluminescent plants that Aria had kept alive for 3 years. Why do you maintain everything? Marcus asked Aria one evening. He sat in the mess hall, eating a meal from the ship's still-functioning food dispensers. Aria's hologram sat across from him, even though she didn't eat. But there's no crew anymore. Not presently, Aria said carefully. But that does not change my purpose. Marcus had been talking with Aria every day, treating her like a person rather than a program. He noticed she was lonely, in her own way. 3 years of silence in an empty ship would affect anyone, even an artificial intelligence. You miss them, Marcus said. It wasn't a question. Aria's hologram flickered. I am not programmed for emotions in the way you understand them. But, yes, I miss them. They were good people. Then help me understand what happened. Why did they leave? I want to tell you, Aria said. And for the first time, Marcus heard genuine frustration in her voice. But I am bound by protocols. Without proper authorization codes, I cannot access those files or discuss classified information. What if we work around it? Marcus suggested. You can't tell me directly. But can you show me things? Help me figure it out myself? Aria tilted her head, considering. That may be acceptable within my parameters. The next morning, Aria's hologram appeared in Marcus's temporary quarters earlier than usual. I have prepared a path for you, she said. If you follow it, you may find answers. She led him through corridors he'd already explored. But this time she stopped at specific locations. A crew member's journal left open on a desk. A news article displayed on a terminal, dated 3 years ago. A children's book about honesty and doing the right thing, sitting prominently on a shelf. Marcus read the journal entry. "We're being sent to the Widow Nebula tomorrow. Captain says it's another humanitarian mission. But I heard him arguing with the Admiral last night. Something's wrong." He sounded scared. The news article discussed Caldorian military operations near the Widow Nebula. Official statements called it relocation assistance for the Varan people, whose homeworld was being prepared for industrial development. Marcus felt a cold sensation in his stomach. "Area, what's in the cargo bay? The restricted sections? I cannot discuss the cargo bay contents without authorization. But you can show me where the access panel is, can't you?" Arya's hologram smiled slightly. "Deck 5, Junction Point 12. The maintenance shaft provides an alternative entrance." Marcus crawled through the maintenance shaft for 20 minutes, following Arya's directions. Finally, he emerged in a massive cargo bay sealed behind reinforced doors. What he saw made him freeze. Rows and rows of data cores, thousands of them stacked in careful organization. Each one labeled with dates, locations, and file classifications, all marked with Caldorian military encryption symbols. But that wasn't what made Marcus's heart race. Behind the data cores were cryopods, dozens of them, arranged in neat lines. They weren't Caldorian design. They were older, cruder, emergency evacuation models. And every single one was empty. Marcus approached the nearest pod slowly. Recent activation, according to the display, 3 years, 2 months, and 7 days ago. The same day the crew evacuated. "Arya," Marcus said quietly, "these pods weren't for the crew, were they?" "No," Arya replied, her voice soft. "They were not. Who was in them?" "Prisoners," Arya said. "Though that word is not accurate. Refugees is more correct. Varan refugees that the Caldorian Empire claimed they were relocating." Marcus touched one of the empty pods. "The crew found out they weren't being relocated. They were being transported to prison camps." "The data cores contain evidence," Arya said. "Everything the crew discovered. Communications between commanders. Orders to separate families. Instructions for disposing of political dissidents. Video footage of the camps. And the crew freed them," Marcus whispered, understanding flooding through him. "They opened the pods, put the Varans in the escape shuttles, and sent them away." "Yes," Arya confirmed. "Then they loaded all the evidence onto me, set my autopilot for neutral space, and evacuated themselves. They knew if they stayed, they would be executed for treason. If they destroyed the evidence, thousands more Varans would suffer." Marcus leaned against a cryopod, his mind racing. "So, they disappeared, made themselves ghosts, left the ship as a time bomb of truth, hoping someone would eventually find it. They did not expect it to take 3 years," Arya said. "The Caldorian Empire spread rumors that the ship was cursed. They arranged for it to appear in that auction, expecting no one would bid. Then they could legally claim it as abandoned property and destroy everything. But I bid on it." "You did," Arya said. "And now, you hold the most dangerous information in this sector of the galaxy. The Caldorian Empire has been monitoring this ship since it appeared in that auction. They know someone finally claimed it." As if summoning them with words, alarms suddenly blared throughout the ship. "3 Caldorian military vessels approaching," Arya announced, her voice tight. "They are hailing us, demanding we surrender the ship for inspection of stolen Imperial property." Marcus looked at the thousands of data cores. Evidence of genocide, hidden for 3 years. The crew had sacrificed everything to preserve this truth. Now it was in his hands. "Arya," Marcus said slowly. "Can you access the communication systems?" "Yes. All frequencies." Marcus smiled, even though his hands were shaking. "Then, Let's stop hiding the truth. Open every channel you have. It's time the galaxy saw what's inside this ship. That will make you a target. Arya warned. I know, Marcus said. But someone has to finish what that crew started. He walked toward the bridge, ready to do the most dangerous thing he'd ever attempted. Marcus ran to the bridge, Arya's hologram keeping pace beside him. The view screen showed 3 Kaldorian warships approaching in perfect formation. Each one was 10 times the size of the Empress Nightfall. Incoming transmission, Arya announced. A Kaldorian officer appeared on screen. His uniform was decorated with military honors. His expression was calm, almost friendly. Greetings, human. I am Commander Velric, of the Kaldorian Imperial Fleet. The vessel you currently occupy was stolen from the Empire 3 years ago. We are authorized to reclaim it. I bought it legally at auction, Marcus said, keeping his voice steady. I have the documentation. I have the documentation. A legal error, Velric replied smoothly. The ship should never have been auctioned. It contains classified military property. Surrender peacefully, and you will be compensated for your inconvenience. Marcus looked at Arya. Her hologram showed concern, but also determination. She gave him a small nod. Commander, before I respond, can I ask you something? Marcus said. Velric looked slightly annoyed but nodded. What is your question? What were you doing at the Widow Nebula 3 years ago? The commander's expression hardened. That is classified information. And the Veron people? Where are they now? This conversation is over, Velric said coldly. You have 10 minutes to evacuate the ship. After that, we will board by force. The transmission ended. Marcus turned to Arya. Can you really broadcast on every frequency? Every communication channel within 3 light years, Arya confirmed. News stations, commercial channels, private transmissions, even military frequencies. But Marcus, once you do this, there is no going back. The Empire will not forgive you. The crew of this ship gave up everything for the truth, Marcus said. I can at least risk something for it. Let's show the galaxy what they've been hiding. Arya's hologram smiled. Accessing data cores now. Preparing transmission protocols. Marcus sat in the captain's chair. The same chair where someone had made this same impossible decision 3 years ago. He thought about that child's drawing on the wall, Daddy, written in crayon. That captain had children waiting for him somewhere, and he still chose to do the right thing. Arya, begin recording, Marcus said. A light appeared on the console, indicating he was being recorded. My name is Marcus Chen, he began. 3 days ago, I bought this ship at auction for 500 credits. Everyone told me it was cursed. They were wrong. This ship isn't cursed, it's a witness. Arya began streaming data to every receiver in range. Video files, audio recordings, official documents, all the evidence stored in those data cores for 3 years. On the view screen, Marcus could see the transmissions being received. News stations across multiple systems. Independent journalists. Government channels. Even the Kaldorian military frequencies couldn't block the flood of information. The first video file showed Veron families being loaded onto transport ships, parents crying as children were taken away, elderly Verons collapsing from exhaustion, Kaldorian soldiers forcing them forward with shock weapons. The Kaldorian Empire told the galaxy they were helping the Veron people relocate, Marcus continued. Here's what actually happened. More files streamed out. Audio recordings of commanders discussing efficient disposal methods for Veron dissidents. Documents showing how the mining corporations paid the Empire for access to Veron labor. Maps of prison camps disguised as relocation settlements. Arya displayed a new file personal testimony from the Empress Nightfall's crew, recorded before they evacuated. The captain appeared, his face exhausted and determined. "My name is Captain Torvak, of the Empress Nightfall. What you are about to see is the truth our empire tried to hide. We were ordered to transport what they called rear-located citizens. We discovered they were prisoners, families torn apart, people sent to die in mining camps. We could not be part of this genocide. Other crew members appeared, each sharing what they witnessed. The navigator, who found the hidden orders. The medical officer, who treated injured Varan children in secret. The engineer who disabled the tracking systems so the freed prisoners could escape. We freed everyone we carried," Captain Torvak said in the recording. "We gave them our escape pods, our shuttles, our emergency supplies. Then we collected all evidence of the Empire's crimes and left it on our ship. We hope whoever finds this has the courage to share what we could not." Marcus felt a lump in his throat watching these brave Kaldorians confess their treason, knowing they would become fugitives forever. On the view screen, alerts were flooding in. News organizations requesting interviews. The Galactic Council issuing emergency session notifications. Other governments demanding explanations from the Kaldorian Empire. Commander Velric's face reappeared, but this time he wasn't calm. He looked furious. "You fool. Do you have any idea what you've done?" "Yes," Marcus said simply. "I told the truth. The Empire will destroy you for this." "Maybe," Marcus acknowledged. "But destroying me won't destroy what I just broadcast. Every major news station in 3 systems has this data now. Independent archives have downloaded copies. You can't put this truth back in the box, Commander." Velric's hand moved toward something off-screen, probably a weapon control. "Commander." Another voice spoke urgently in the background. "Sir, we're receiving stand-down orders from the Imperial Council. Political pressure from trade partners. They're ordering us to withdraw." Velric's face showed pure rage, but he was military to the core. Orders were orders. "This isn't over, human," he said. "Actually," Marcus replied, "I think it is. The crew of this ship started something 3 years ago. I just finished it." The transmission ended. The 3 warships slowly changed course, moving away from the Empress Nightfall. Aria's hologram sat in the chair beside Marcus. Communications are still flooding in. News requests, interview offers, messages of support. The Varan survivors scattered across the galaxy are organizing. They want to thank you. "They shouldn't thank me," Marcus said quietly. "They should thank Captain Torvak and his crew. I just pushed a button." "But you did more than that," Aria said softly. "You gave voice to those who were silenced. You finished what brave people started. That is not a small thing." 1. Marcus looked at the view screen, showing stars stretching endlessly in all directions. Somewhere out there, Captain Torvak and his crew were watching this broadcast. Somewhere, Varan families were reuniting. Somewhere, the truth was finally setting people free. He had bought a ghost ship for 500 credits. He had discovered it wasn't haunted by spirits, it was haunted by conscience. And now, that conscience spoke loud enough for the entire galaxy to hear. The Empress Nightfall was no longer a secret. It was a monument to courage. And Marcus Chen, an ordinary human salvage dealer, had become the most watched person in the sector. The hard part was just beginning. The messages came in waves. Hundreds within the first hour. Thousands by the second day. Marcus sat at the communication console, scrolling through them, while Aria filtered out the threats and kept only the important ones. Interview request from Galactic News Network. Aria reported. Request for testimony from the Council of Free Worlds. A donation offer from the Varan Survivors Association. And 17 more death threats from Kaldorian nationalist groups. Delete the death threats, Marcus said tiredly. He hadn't slept in 36 hours. Accept the GNN interview and the council testimony. What about the Kaldorian government? Official statement calls you a thief and a liar, Arya said. They claim the videos are fabricated. However, their trade partners are not convinced. 4 major governments have suspended diplomatic relations until independent investigations are conducted. Marcus rubbed his eyes. The galaxy was watching, but that didn't mean he was safe. The Caldorian Empire was wounded, and wounded powers were dangerous. Arya, what's our fuel situation? Sufficient for 6 months of operation at current levels. Food supplies for 3 months. All systems stable. Quote, food supplies. Quote, food supplies. Quote, food supplies. Quote, food supplies. Any ships approaching? Negative. However, I am detecting increased scanning activity in surrounding sectors. Someone is looking for us. Marcus had expected this. The Empire couldn't arrest him publicly now, too many eyes watching. But they could make him disappear quietly if he gave them the chance. His datapad chimed. A new message, marked urgent and encrypted. The sender was listed only as a friend. Marcus opened it carefully. Mr. Chen, you've made powerful enemies. The Empire is hiring mercenaries to recover their stolen ship. You have maybe 3 days before they find you. There's a neutral station called Haven's Point in the Ceres system. Go there. You'll have protection. Marcus's heart skipped. Captain T. Captain Torvak. Area. Can we trace this message? Already attempted. Routed through 47 relay points across the galaxy. Untraceable. But the encryption signature matches Caldorian military protocols from 3 years ago. It was him. The captain, who started all this, was still out there. Still watching. Set course for Haven's Point, Marcus decided. Best speed. Calculating route. ETA, 48 hours. The journey was tense. Arya constantly scanned for pursuit, while Marcus prepared for the Galactic Council testimony. He reviewed the evidence files, practiced his statement, and tried not to think about the fact that he was flying a ship worth millions through space with minimal training. On the second day, alarms blared. 4 ships approaching fast, Arya announced. Configuration matches mercenary raiders. They're hailing us. Marcus opened the channel. A scarred Raxian face appeared, all teeth and aggression. Human. Power down your engines. We're authorized to reclaim that ship for its rightful owners. Cooperate, and you'll live. Authorized by whom? Marcus asked, though he already knew. Private contract. Very profitable one. Now shut down, or we shoot out your engines and take you anyway. Marcus looked at Arya. Can we outrun them? Negative. They're faster and better armed. We are not a combat vessel. Can we fight? This ship has defensive weapons. But the crew removed the authorization codes when they evacuated. I cannot activate weapon systems without a command override. The mercenary ships were getting closer. Marcus could see them on the sensors, closing in like predators. Then Marcus remembered something. Captain Torvak's personal quarters. The datapad, beside the stasis-preserved meal. He'd never checked what was on it. Area, stay on course. Keep broadcasting our position on all frequencies. Make sure everyone knows what's happening to us. What are you doing? Something human, Marcus said, running toward the captain's quarters. Something desperate. 2. He grabbed the datapad from Torvak's desk and activated it. The screen showed a simple text file titled, For whoever finds this ship. Marcus read quickly. If you're reading this, you've already discovered our secret. You've probably made the same choice we did to tell the truth regardless of cost. The Empire will come for you. They always do. You'll need to protect yourself. The weapons authorization code is CONSCIEN CESEVEN SEVEN VERAN. Use it wisely. Use it only to protect the innocent. That's what we would have wanted. Stay brave, Captain Torvak. Marcus ran back to the bridge. The mercenary ships were almost in weapons range. Area. I have the authorization code. CONSCIEN CESEVEN SEVEN VERAN. Arya's hologram brightened. Code accepted. Weapons, systems activating. But Marcus, I must warn you, I am not programmed for combat. I don't know how to fight. You don't need to, Marcus said, sitting in the captain's chair. Just target their engines. We're not trying to destroy them. Just stop them. Understood. Targeting solutions calculated. The mercenary leader's voice crackled over the comm. Last warning, human. Stop now or... Area. Fire. The Empress Nightfall's defensive weapons weren't military grade, but they were precise. 4 quick bursts of energy, and 4 mercenary ships suddenly lost power to their engines. They didn't explode, they just went dark, drifting in space. This is Marcus Chen aboard the Empress Nightfall. Marcus broadcast on all channels. 4 mercenary vessels just attempted to seize this ship on behalf of the Kaldorian Empire. I have disabled them without casualties and am broadcasting their identification codes to the Galactic Council. This is the 3rd attempt to silence the truth. How many more before the galaxy takes action? His broadcast reached hundreds of listening posts. News stations picked it up immediately. The story grew larger. Now it wasn't just about the Varan genocide. It was about an empire trying to kill a human whistleblower. Public opinion shifted dramatically. Protests erupted on Kaldorian colony worlds. Reform movements gained strength. The Empire's allies began abandoning them. 20 hours later, the Empress Nightfall docked at Havens Point Station. Marcus was met by station security and by representatives from 14 different governments, all offering protection. But the most important person waiting was someone Marcus didn't expect. A hooded Kaldorian stood apart from the crowd. As Marcus approached, the figure lowered his hood slightly. It was Captain Torvak. He was older, thinner, with gray in his dark hair that hadn't been there in the recordings. But his eyes were the same, determined and kind. Mr. Chen, Torvak said quietly, thank you for finishing what we started. Marcus shook his hand. Thank you for giving me the tools to do it. The weapons code saved my life. I hoped someone brave would find the ship, Torvak said. I never imagined it would be someone willing to risk everything like we did. You're a good man. Marcus Chen. So are you, Captain. Torvak smiled sadly. I can never go home. None of my crew can. We're fugitives forever. But you're free, Marcus said. And because of you, thousands of Varans are free too. Torvak nodded, pulling his hood back up. The Galactic Council will protect you now. Tell them everything. Don't let the Empire bury this again. He disappeared into the crowd before Marcus could respond. Marcus looked up at the Empress Nightfall, docked and safe. A ghost ship no longer. A witness to courage. 6 months after the broadcast, Marcus stood on the observation deck of the Empress Nightfall, watching ships arrive from across the galaxy. The Galactic Council had offered him 30 million credits for the ship and its evidence. Enough money to retire on a paradise world and never work again. Marcus had refused. You're keeping it? The council representative had asked, confused. But why? Gree. Because it's not mine to sell, Marcus had replied. It belongs to the people who sacrificed everything for truth. Instead, Marcus did something that made the entire galaxy scratch their heads in confusion. He turned the Empress Nightfall into a living memorial. The ship now orbited Havens Point Station, open to visitors every day. The crew quarters remained exactly as they were, beds made, personal items on shelves, that child's drawing still pinned to the captain's wall. People walked through in silence, seeing the lives interrupted by conscience. The cargo bay became an archive. The data cores were accessible to researchers, journalists, and historians. Universities sent students to study the evidence. Documentaries were filmed in those corridors. The truth was no longer hidden, it was taught. But Marcus's most controversial decision was the medical bay. He converted it into a sanctuary for refugees. Veron, survivors who had nowhere else to go, could stay there temporarily. Other species fleeing persecution found shelter. The cryopods that once held prisoners now held supplies for those in need. "You're running a charity on a warship?" Aria had asked, amused. "I'm running a reminder," Marcus had corrected. "A reminder that individual choice matters." Today was special. It was the official dedication ceremony. Representatives from 40 governments attended. Veron families came to honor their fallen and celebrate their survivors. News crews broadcast to billions of viewers. And hidden in the crowd, wearing different faces and false identities, were 12 former crew members of the Empress Nightfall. Captain Torvak had sent Marcus their names. They couldn't attend openly. The Kaldorian Empire still wanted them for treason, but they were there, watching their ship transformed into something beautiful. Marcus stood at a podium on the bridge, looking at the assembled crowd through the observation windows. Aria's hologram stood beside him, visible to everyone. "6 months ago, I bought this ship for 500 credits, Marcus began. "Everyone told me it was cursed. They said ghosts walked these halls. They were right, but not the way they thought." He gestured to the corridor behind him. "The ghosts here aren't spirits of the dead. They're echoes of conscience." Captain Torvak and his crew could have followed orders. They could have stayed silent, kept their careers, gone home to their families. Instead, they chose to do what was right, even though it cost them everything. A Veran woman in the crowd wiped tears from her eyes. "The Kaldorian Empire wanted this ship destroyed," Marcus continued. "They wanted the evidence buried. They wanted the Veran people forgotten. But they made one mistake. They underestimated what one person's choice could do." He looked directly at the cameras. Captain Torvak chose truth over comfort. His crew chose justice over safety. And when I found what they left behind, I had a choice too. I could have sold the evidence for profit. I could have stayed silent to stay safe. But I chose to finish what they started. Marcus paused, letting his words sink in. That's the real lesson of the Empress Nightfall. Change doesn't require armies or governments. It requires individuals willing to act when they see wrong. One person, making one choice, can change everything. The crowd applauded. The Veran woman was crying openly now, and many others joined her. After the ceremony, a young Veran approached Marcus shyly. She couldn't have been more than 15 years old. "Mr. Chen, I wanted to thank you. My family was on this ship 3 years ago. We were in those cryopods. Captain Torvak freed us and put us on an escape shuttle. Without him, and without you, we'd be dead in a mining camp." Marcus knelt to her level. "What's your name?" "Ciara." "Ciara, you don't need to thank me. I just pressed some buttons. Captain Torvak and his crew, they're the real heroes. But you risked your life too," Ciara insisted. "You could have sold the ship and become rich. Instead, you made it a place where people like me can learn what happened, where refugees can find help. That's important." Marcus smiled. "You're going to do great things someday, Ciara. I can tell." Quote, Marcus, quote. As the crowd dispersed, Aria approached Marcus in the now quiet bridge. "The financial reports are concerning," she said. "Running this memorial costs significant credits. Maintaining the ship, housing, refugees. Keeping the archives accessible, you're spending far more than you earn. At this rate, you'll run out of money in 18 months. "I know," Marcus said calmly. "And you're not worried?" "Aria, I bought this ship for 500 credits. Even if I go broke tomorrow, I still got the better deal. Some things are worth more than money. Aria's hologram smiled. You've taught me much about being human, Marcus Chen. This quality choosing purpose over profit, choosing meaning over comfort. It's remarkable. It's not just humans, Marcus said, looking at the empty captain's chair. Captain Torvak was Kaldorian. His whole crew were Kaldorians. Courage isn't a species trait. It's a choice anyone can make. 1. Marcus said. 117. Act 17. Months turned into years. The Empress Nightfall became the most visited memorial in the sector. Children learned about the Varan genocide in those corridors. Refugees found temporary homes in those quarters. Journalists discovered truth in those archives. The Kaldorian Empire slowly reformed. New leadership emerged, acknowledging past crimes. Reparations were paid to Varan survivors. The prison camps were closed, and their operators prosecuted. And somewhere in the galaxy, Captain Torvak and his crew lived quiet lives under new names, watching the change they helped create. Marcus never got rich. He never became powerful. But every night, he slept in the captain's quarters of the Empress Nightfall, under that child's drawing that said, "Daddy." And he knew he'd made the right choice. The ship that everyone ignored at auction, the cursed ghost ship that sold for 500 credits, became a beacon of hope. Because sometimes, the most valuable things are the ones everyone else overlooks. And sometimes, one ordinary person willing to do the right thing can change the galaxy. Marcus Chen had bought a ship, but what he really found was proof that conscience, courage, and truth were worth more than all the credits in the universe. The Empress Nightfall sailed on, no longer running from shadows, but shining light into the darkness, a monument to the power of individual choice and the unbreakable human spirit that refuses to look away from injustice.